Now in Illustrator CS5 there's a new Artboards panel which helps us name and arrange these wonderful artboards. So let's take a look at how that works by coming back over to our CMYK document, the first one we created. Remember that has our A3 poster, our A4 sheet and our flyer down here at the bottom. And let's come on up to the window menu and go down and choose Artboards. This is the panel we saw briefly earlier on, so it should come up over here on the left hand side. Now remember that whenever you select an artboard, you're going to basically highlight it, and that shows up here inside the panel so we can see which one is being highlighted. But like I mentioned before, the pagination essentially, or the order of these, is not correct because we manually move these around. Okay. Now just to highlight this, we're going to access the Artboards tool, Shift O, as we already know, and you can see the order is here. This is Artboard 2 essentially, and it should be 1, and this is 1 and should be 2. So really we want to switch the order of these around. Well, this is what the panel actually allows us to do. Very simply, we can take what is currently Artboard 2, alright, which is slightly confusing, but bear with me. We're going to take that and move it up in the list, okay? So Artboard 2 is the name of the A3 page, but now in order, it is here number 1. This has now been reordered as number 2. Artboard 3 stays as number 3, okay? Now when it comes to naming these, it can be done in multiple ways. With the tool highlighted, you can come up here into the control panel and adjust the name there, okay? So selecting an individual one of these will allow you to adjust the name in the control panel, but as in a lot of instances, you may not have the tool highlighted and you don't wish to highlight it in order to perform that function. Again, this is why the Illustrator team has introduced the Artboards panel, because we have access to more options without requiring the tool. So I'm going to hit the V key to go back to the main selection tool now that we've done what we need there. Then what we can do instead is come over to the Artboards panel and simply click on the page icon for the artboard we wish to change. Okay, click on it and it will bring up the artboard options, the same as if we'd use the tool and the control panel together. So again, all the settings are in here. We can change the presets, the sizes, the positions, the display options we saw earlier. What we're coming in here is to edit the name. So this is going to be our A3 poster. Go ahead and say OK. That now renames here, and again, just to prove the point, if I bring up the tool, you can see that it has actually shown up here in the artboard visual. Okay, just going to go back to the main selection tool. So likewise for artboard 1, which is our A4, let's go ahead and change the options there, and we'll call that A4 sheet. And for artboard 3, our little flyer in the corner, let's select that and simply type in the name flyer. Okay, so those have now been reorganized. It's so much easier to deal with the artboards now that you can actually name them and see them and navigate between them inside of this Artboards panel. So for navigating as well, simply double clicking on a name will now perform a sort of a zoom and a fit in window. So we can now go straight to the A3 poster, we can double click and go to the A4, we can double click and go to the flyer. So this is actually a very handy navigation tool as well, which I'm not sure if that was the original intention, but I'm actually enjoying using this. So once again, we can shrink everything down to fit in one window. Now, whilst we're here, what I think is very important to do is we're going to be using this Artboards panel quite a lot, I think. So it's worth saving it into our workspace. So seeing as we've got this cluster of palettes over here on the left-hand side, let's drag the Artboards and snap it into the bottom there. So as you know, we can select it at any time along with all these others and just pull up our settings. But now that that's in there, let's come over to our workspace options. We have CS5 Training Workspace. We're going to click and come down and save workspace. And I'm going to type in the same name, CS5 Training Workspace, and say OK. It's going to tell me the specified workspace name is in use. Would you like to overwrite it? Absolutely, that's what we want to do. So next time, if we need to pull up this workspace, we can guarantee that our Artboards panel is now part of that workspace.